The war was supposed to end on Mandalore. That was the plan. Ahsoka Tano stood in the aftermath, the fires of battle still reflecting in her eyes, her lightsabers humming low by her sides. The people of Sundari were finally free of Maul's grasp, but the city was in ruins and the Force was screaming. She felt it before she heard it. A whisper, a disturbance, something colder than death. It crawled through the Force like poison, and it wasn't coming from Mandalore. It was something bigger, galactic. "Something's wrong," she muttered to Rex, her brow furrowed. He stood nearby, helmet tucked under his arm, armor dusted with ash. "We won, Commander. You should rest." She shook her head slowly. "No, this doesn't feel like a victory." In the shadows of a ruined throne room, the unthinkable was stirring. Maul was in chains, surrounded by Republic troops, but his eyes, wild and burning, were locked on Ahsoka. He'd been raving since they captured him, throwing cryptic warnings about a darkness rising. "You're all fools," he sneered through clenched teeth. "You think this war was ever about the Separatists, about Dooku? You've been dancing in his palm the whole time." "His?" Ahsoka asked quietly. Maul's grin widened. "The Sith Lord, Sidious. He's already won. You just don't know it yet." Ahsoka stepped closer. "Tell me everything." That's when it happened. A ripple through the Force, a flicker of images, Anakin kneeling before a cloaked figure, a saber igniting, children screaming, the temple burning. "No." Ahsoka staggered back. Maul laughed. "It wasn't joy, it was madness. You see it, don't you? It's already begun." In the Jedi temple on Coruscant, Master Windu paced before the hologram of Yoda. Obi-Wan and Plo Koon stood silent as the conversation played out. "Meditate on this we must," Yoda said, concern twisting his voice. "Skywalker is unstable," Windu said sharply. "Too close to the Chancellor. If there's even a chance he's compromised." Obi-Wan's mouth opened to protest, but he stopped himself. The doubt was creeping in. Suddenly the doors burst open. Ahsoka walked in with Rex at her side. Behind them, escorted under heavy guard, was Maul. "Ahsoka Tano," Windu said coolly. "You no longer hold rank in the Order." "I know," she said. "But you need to hear what he has to say." Eyes turned toward Maul. He bowed his head mockingly. "Ah, the Great Council. So noble, so blind." "What's this about?" Obi-Wan asked. "Sidious is Palpatine," Ahsoka said. The room went dead quiet. Maul was trying to stop him. That's why he wanted Anakin dead. "You expect us to believe him?" Windu scoffed. "Believe me or not," Ahsoka snapped, "but look around you. Doesn't something feel wrong?" Maul raised his head. "He's moving. Even now. You have days, maybe hours. If you hesitate, the Republic falls. The Jedi burn. And the Chosen One becomes the Destroyer." For a moment, nobody spoke. Then, against every instinct, every doctrine, and every rule they'd ever followed, Windu gave a sharp nod. "Prepare a strike team. If we're doing this and we do it now," Coruscant was unusually quiet. Anakin Skywalker walked the marble halls of the Senate building with tension in his chest and thunder in his mind. The Chancellor had requested him again, alone. Always alone, and every time Palpatine's words dug a little deeper. "You're troubled," Palpatine said as Anakin entered his private chambers. His voice, warm like silk over a knife, filled the room. "Something weighs on you." Anakin hesitated. He hated how easily the Chancellor could see through him. "I had visions again of Padme dying." Palpatine rose slowly from his seat. "And yet the Jedi still deny you the power to save her, don't they?" Anakin clenched his fists. "They've shut me out. They don't trust me. They never did. And why should they?" Palpatine's tone shifted, colder now. "You're more powerful than any of them, stronger than Master Yoda, wiser than Windu. They fear you, Anakin. But I believe in you." Anakin looked away, jaw tight. Doubt gnawed at his heart. The Jedi had treated him like a child, an unstable weapon to be watched, not trusted. He thought of Ahsoka, how they cast her out when she needed them. Maybe she had been right to walk away. Palpatine moved closer. "Let me help you, Anakin. There is a way to prevent Padme's death." Anakin turned to him, eyes wide. How? But before the words could leave the Chancellor's mouth, a sudden tremor pulsed through the Force. Something was happening, something wrong. In the Jedi Temple, chaos erupted. A transmission had just come in, coded, urgent, and impossible to ignore. "Master Windu," said a panicked clone commander over the holo. "Ahsoka Tano and Maul—" They were right. Something's happening. Troopers across sectors are reporting strange behavior. Some say they're getting contingency orders. It's like the clones are waiting for a command. Windu's eyes narrowed. Execute what command? No one knew. But the temple's air had thickened with tension. Jedi Masters and Knights moved in unison, summoned to prepare for a confrontation they never imagined they'd face. Mace Windu gathered the strike team. Himself, Kit Fisto, Ajan Kola, Saesi Teen, and, shockingly, Ahsoka and Maul. The council had protested, but Windu overruled them. "If he's telling the truth, we need every advantage we can get." Maul smirked, standing at the edge of the hangar with his double-bladed saber now returned to him. "Don't get sentimental, Jedi. I'm not here to save your order. I'm here to kill him." Ahsoka gave him a sharp glance. "We do this my way, or you'll be the first one I cut down." The gunship roared to life. The team boarded in silence. They were going to arrest the Supreme Chancellor. Palpatine stood at the center of his chambers, staring at the cityscape as the Jedi transport approached. He knew this was coming. Everything was unfolding exactly as he had foreseen, except for one variable, Ahsoka Tano, and the wild card, Maul. He smiled to himself. So they come earlier than expected. He walked to a panel and pressed a button. Across the galaxy, hidden commands primed in every clone's brain began to flicker to life. Just not yet. Anakin stood in the doorway behind him, confused. "You called me back, Chancellor?" Palpatine turned, his expression grave. "Yes, the Jedi are coming to arrest me." Anakin's eyes widened. "Why?" "Because they fear what I know and what I've offered you." Outside, the gunship landed. The Jedi moved fast. Inside, the final test was beginning. The doors hissed open with a sharp whisper. The Jedi Masters stepped into the Chancellor's chambers, sabers unlit, but ready in their hands. The air felt like thick smoke, like the Force itself was holding its breath. Palpatine stood in the center, calm as ever. Anakin stood near him, confusion turning to panic. His eyes flicked from Windu to Ahsoka, then to Maul, whose crimson saber hissed to life without hesitation. "So it's true," Anakin said quietly. "You really believe he's a Sith?" Windu stepped forward, voice sharp. "Anakin, step aside. He's under arrest." Palpatine didn't move. "You've lost your way, Masters. A coup? In the heart of the Republic? You're the traitor," Ahsoka snapped. "We know who you are." Palpatine turned to her. The apprentice. Cast out by the Order, yet now you speak for it." Her sabers ignited with a crackling snap. In one swift blur, Palpatine moved. He didn't just attack, he exploded. A wave of dark energy knocked Saesi Teen back into the wall before he could react. Kit Fisto lunged forward, but Palpatine's blade tore through him with terrifying precision. Ajan Kola fell next. It had taken seconds. Maul launched into the fray with a roar, his red saber clashing against Palpatine's in a storm of sparks. Windu joined, his purple blade carving arcs of power. Ahsoka circled wide, flanking, her twin sabers dancing. Anakin stood frozen. This was not how he'd imagined it. Palpatine wasn't pleading or cowering. He was unleashing hell, and Maul was keeping up. "Faster," Maul snarled. "He's feeding off your hesitation." Windu growled as he pressed forward, locking sabers with the Sith Lord. Ahsoka dove in from the side, slicing at his legs, forcing Palpatine to spin and block with barely a breath between attacks. For a moment, just a moment, they were winning. Palpatine stumbled back, breathing hard. His face twisted and the charming mask cracked. The Sith Lord revealed himself in full, a monster cloaked in shadows, his eyes glowing with ancient rage. Anakin finally stepped forward, heart pounding. "He told me he could save Padme," he said, voice raw. Windu turned to him. "He lied to you." Palpatine took the chance. Lightning erupted from his hands, slamming Windu into the far wall. Ahsoka screamed and blocked as much as she could, but the power cracked her back against the floor. Maul surged forward, blade spinning furiously until he was forced to leap back from a sudden blast. Anakin moved, not toward the Chancellor, not toward the Jedi, toward Ahsoka. He dropped beside her, shielding her as more lightning flashed. "Stay down!" Windu rose slowly, one arm limp. "Skywalker, finish this. He's too dangerous to be left alive." Palpatine's lightning flared again, this time weaker. He was tiring. "Anakin!" Palpatine gasped. "She'll die. You will let her die." Anakin's lightsaber ignited with a scream, but it wasn't pointed at Windu. It was pointed at Palpatine. Ahsoka looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. "I'm done being manipulated," Anakin said through gritted teeth. He stepped forward and joined the attack. The moment Anakin's saber slashed across Palpatine's side, time seemed to stop. The Sith Lord screamed, not in pain but fury. His mask of control shattered. The darkness inside him surged like a black tide. He hurled Anakin across the chamber with a wave of the Force, slamming him into a pillar hard enough to crack stone. Maul leapt in, striking again and again, but Palpatine was pure rage now. His attacks became a blur. Maul barely kept pace, every block sending vibrations through his bones. Ahsoka rose unsteadily. Blood trickled from her temple, but she charged anyway, her sabers a blue whirlwind. Windu joined her, and for the first time since the war began, the Jedi were not reacting to darkness. They were fighting it head-on. Palpatine staggered, breath rasping. "You fool, you think this changes anything?" Windu didn't answer. He struck. Palpatine's saber clattered to the ground. Ahsoka's blades crossed at his neck. Maul stepped forward, but Windu raised a hand. "No, he stands trial," Maul growled. "He'll escape. He always does." "Not this time," Windu said, voice cold and final. Anakin struggled to his feet, wincing. Ahsoka moved to him quickly. "You good?" she asked. He nodded, breath ragged. "He was in my head for so long I almost believed—" "I know," she said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "But you didn't." Anakin looked down at Palpatine, now cuffed and surrounded by Jedi. "What happens now?" Windu answered without turning. "Now we tell the Senate the truth, and stop this war before the Republic tears itself apart. But darkness doesn't go quietly." In a hidden control room far below Coruscant, a droid received a final pulse from Palpatine's private channel. It was scrambled, incomplete, half a code, half a curse. "Execute. Order." The signal failed before it could finish, but something inside thousands of clone troopers stirred. Uncertainty, echoes of a command without meaning. Commander Cody aboard a star cruiser blinked. "General." Kenobi, something strange just pinged the system. Kenobi mid-transmission paused. Define strange. Some sort of encrypted message. Died mid-broadcast. Source? Classified origin. Chancellor's line. Kenobi narrowed his eyes. "Keep your men alert. Don't act." "Unless I give the order." Elsewhere, clone commanders began to murmur. There was a tension in the ranks, some instinct buried deep. It itched, it whispered, but it didn't shout. Not yet. Meanwhile, in the Senate, the world reeled. News of Palpatine's arrest swept through the chambers like wildfire. The senators shouted, argued, screamed for explanations. Bail Organa stood with Mon Mothma, and Padme Amidala at the center of it all, trying to hold the fragile Republic together. "He manipulated the war, played both sides," Bail said, voice straining over the uproar. "The Jedi uncovered the truth. He is the Sith Lord known as Sidious." "He brought stability," someone shouted. "He nearly brought destruction," Padme shot back, her voice ringing. An emergency vote was scheduled. The courts were assembling, but the cracks were deep. Many senators whispered that the Jedi had staged this, that they'd seized power, that this was their coup. And in the shadows, Dooku watched from afar. Safe. In the Separatist stronghold, he received the message that would change everything. Palpatine had fallen, and the galaxy was about to fracture in ways no one expected. Ahsoka stood in the Jedi Council chamber, the sun beginning to rise over Coruscant. Towering skyline. It should have felt like a new beginning, but it didn't. "They don't trust us," she said quietly. Mace Windu looked out the window, arms folded tightly across his chest. "They never truly did, and now they fear us." "They think we're tyrants," said Obi-Wan, stepping forward. "They think we staged a power grab." Ahsoka turned. "And Anakin, what happens to him?" "He made the right choice," Windu said, though even he didn't sound convinced. "But the Council must determine if he's still fit to serve." Ahsoka's eyes narrowed. "He saved your life." "And I'm grateful," Windu replied. "But attachments, the kind he holds, they cloud judgment. They always have." No one spoke after that. The silence was thick, suspicious. In the hallway beyond the chamber, Anakin Skywalker waited alone, pacing like a caged animal. Word was spreading fast. The people didn't know who to believe. To them, Palpatine had ended slavery, repelled invasions, and stood tall in times of fear. And now he was a prisoner, and the Jedi, already labeled as traitors in certain corners of the holonet. Anakin turned as Ahsoka approached. "They're thinking about kicking me out," he said, voice low. "They're scared, that's all," she replied, trying to sound calm. "But they'll come around." "I should have killed him," he muttered. "I should have finished it." Ahsoka didn't answer. Deep down, part of her agreed. On the far side of the galaxy, in the ghost light of Mustafar, Count Dooku stood before a flickering holomap of the galaxy. With Sidious captured, the web he once spun began to unravel, and Dooku wasted no time taking control of what remained. Grievous, ever loyal to the highest authority, bowed slightly. "What now, my lord?" the droid general rasped. "Now?" Dooku said, voice sharp with purpose. "We accelerate everything." He turned to a series of new droids, sleek, silver, more advanced than anything seen before. "Begin deployment of Project Revenant. If the Jedi want a new galaxy, we'll give them a graveyard instead." "But the clones," Grievous began, "are unstable," Dooku finished. "Without Sidious full command, their programming is fragmented. We turn that chaos against the Republic." Back on Coruscant, beneath the temple, a clone medic examined a recovered chip, one pulled from a fallen trooper who'd suffered a sudden seizure. "Hertz triggered by a voice pattern," the medic said, showing the results to Master Plo Koon. "Something in their minds reacts to a phrase, but without a full command, it just causes confusion." Plo frowned. "We must find a way to purge it." "But sir, they're everywhere." "Then we start here," Plo said grimly, "one clone at a time," but it was already too late in many systems. Isolated squads were turning, attacking Jedi without warning, convinced the Order had betrayed the Republic. A slow civil war was forming, not one of armies, but of doubt, fear, and manipulated memories. Later that night, Padme sat across from Anakin in their apartment, the weight of everything pressing down on both of them. "They'll never forgive you," she said softly. "Not fully. I don't need their forgiveness," he said. "Just yours." "You didn't do anything wrong, Annie. You saved people." I hesitated. "You chose the light." Anakin's jaw tensed. "For now." Outside, the Senate was calling for sweeping reforms. Dooku's forces were making brutal advances. The Jedi had uncovered the monster behind the curtain, but too late to stop the cracks from spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. And deep in his cell, Palpatine sat silently in the darkness, his lips curled into the faintest smile. "I may have fallen," he whispered, "but the darkness never rests." The Jedi Temple had never felt so cold. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood at the top of the grand stairway, watching hollows of riots flicker across the screen. In the lower levels of Coruscant, the people were burning effigies of Jedi statues. Some carried signs, "No more war." Others chanted, "Where were the Jedi when our planets burned?" Public opinion had shifted faster than anyone expected. 1 week ago, the Jedi were peacekeepers. Now they were symbols of betrayal, targets for hate they didn't even see coming. And behind it all, an invisible whisper, fanned by something they couldn't quite trace. Propaganda. Misinformation. Dooku's touch. Ahsoka stood beside Obi-Wan, arms crossed, tired and tense. "It's unraveling." He nodded slowly. Truth doesn't matter when people are scared. Down below, the temple's medbay was filled with injured clones, some wounded in battle, others after suddenly turning on their Jedi generals, confused and broken. Something was feeding into them, manipulating the latent Order 66 programming. But they didn't know how or who. Anakin sat in meditation, but his mind wasn't quiet. Visions plagued him again, visions that didn't come from the Force. They came from somewhere else. He saw himself cloaked in black, flame licking around his feet, sabers crashing against friends. He saw Padmé's grave. He saw the temple burning anyway, no matter what choices he made. And in the center of it all stood a twisted version of himself, eyes yellow, skin pale, voice a rasping echo of Palpatine's laughter. He opened his eyes with a gasp. Ahsoka was there, watching him. "You saw something again?" she asked softly. He nodded. "It's like he's still in me." "He's in all of us," she said. "The war infected everything." "I want to stop it," he whispered. "But I don't know if I can." She looked at him for a long time. "Then maybe we fight to make sure." "You don't have to." Meanwhile, far from Coruscant, Count Dooku moved his newest weapon into place. The first deployment of Project Revenant was complete. Not just droids, something worse. Clone units that had been captured, tortured, broken, and reprogrammed. Units that remembered their Jedi commanders, that still smiled when they saw them, and then had turned. The Jedi wouldn't see it coming. The war would fracture from inside. He addressed his gathered generals, including Grievous and a newly constructed tactical AI. "We no longer aim to conquer," Dooku said. "We aim to make the Jedi destroy themselves." Back in the Senate, the trial of Palpatine began behind closed doors. He said little, he smiled too much, and when Bail Organa questioned him directly, Palpatine finally spoke in full. "I gave you order. I gave you strength. I gave you fear, when fear was the only thing that kept the galaxy from tearing itself apart." "You gave us lies," Bail fired back. "I gave you peace, Senator. You just didn't like the price." Outside the chamber, Padmé stood alone, hearing whispers. Senator Amidala was close to him, wasn't she? Did she know? She's the reason they turned on the Chancellor. The lies were spreading. The Jedi weren't just under suspicion. They were becoming the scapegoat for everything wrong in the galaxy. And Palpatine wasn't resisting it. He was orchestrating it, even from a cell. Then the signal hit. In a remote outpost on Felucia, a Jedi Knight was cut down by her clone squad. In orbit over Saliokami, a cruiser turned its cannons on its own. Jedi led support ships. And in the heart of the Republic, a message broadcast briefly across corrupted military frequencies. Revenant protocol engaged. The Jedi weren't fighting the war anymore. The war had come for them. The temple was under siege. Not from outside, but from the very ones sworn to protect it. It began with flickers in the Force, subtle, quiet. A Jedi Master on a mission suddenly cut off, a Padawan stabbed in the back. Then, across systems, full detachments of clone troopers began to turn, not enraged, not emotional, just empty. No anger, no hesitation, only silence and the dead-eyed calm of reprogrammed minds. Inside the temple, alarms wailed. Clones stationed for security suddenly turned, drawing blasters, opening fire on Jedi staff. The halls became war zones. Statues crumbled, lights flickered. And above all, screams rang out, both physical and in the Force. Ahsoka spun her sabers in the east corridor, cutting down 3 clones as they opened fire near the youngling wing. "They're not all turning," she shouted to Obi-Wan as he joined the fight. "Some are resisting," Obi-Wan said, blocking a stun bolt. "Whatever's triggering them, it's not as absolute as Sidious's order would have been." "But it's still working," Ahsoka growled, "and we're running out of Jedi." Rex emerged from the smoke, dragging an injured commander. "I've got 3 squads locked down, but more are glitching every hour. Some don't even know they've turned." A clone screamed as he collapsed near them, clutching his head. Blood dripped from his nose, but he kept trying to fire his weapon. "It's like something's overriding their minds and then breaking." "Them," Rex said. "This isn't just a code, it's torture." Ahsoka's eyes darkened. "It's Dooku. Anakin watched the carnage from the temple's observatory, fists clenched at his sides. Every betrayal, every fallen brother, was a piece of him tearing loose. He could feel Padme's pain in the distance. The Senate had called for martial oversight of the Jedi. The people were turning, and the Republic was beginning to eat itself alive. And somewhere, somehow, Palpatine smiled. Windu entered the room, bruised, tired, but still standing. "This is what we tried to stop," Anakin said without turning. "We warned them." Windu didn't answer immediately. "You want to end this, Skywalker? Then you need to go straight to the heart of it." Anakin turned, wary. "You mean Dooku?" "No, I mean Palpatine. You don't think he didn't plan this?" Windu stepped forward. "You saw what he did. You felt him. You think he didn't build this contingency?" Anakin's stomach dropped. "He's still connected to it." "We don't know how," Windu said, "but it ends with him." Later that night, as the temple burned in scattered wings, Anakin walked into the holding cell that Palpatine had been confined to since his arrest. It was dark, silent. He sat there, hands folded, still smiling. "You've come," he said. Anakin said nothing. Palpatine leaned forward. "They want you to kill me now, don't they?" Anakin's saber remained on his belt. "I should have. But you didn't, because part of you knows. The Republic you're trying to save is already dead. The Jedi will fall, the people will turn, and your Padme, she will still die." Anakin's breath hitched. "Stop." "I don't need to stop," Palpatine whispered. "Because you believe me. Even now. Because the darkness didn't begin with me. It began with you." Anakin clenched his fists until his knuckles cracked. The force around him warped, flared. Palpatine stood, calm and unchained. "You want peace? Then embrace your power. End this war. The Jedi have failed, again and again. Only you can bring balance now." Anakin trembled. His hand hovered over his saber. "You can kill me," Palpatine said, stepping close, "or you can use me." A door opened behind them. Ahsoka stood in the frame. "Anakin," she said gently, "what are you doing?" He looked at her, then at Palpatine. His hand moved, and then darkness. He didn't ignite his saber. Not yet. Anakin's hand hovered above it, the metal cool under his fingers, trembling. Palpatine's voice still echoed in his skull like poison that wouldn't wash away. But Ahsoka's voice cut through it, clear, grounding. "Don't become what we were trying to stop." Anakin's eyes burned. His breath shook, but his hand dropped. He stepped away from Palpatine. "He doesn't get to choose the ending," Anakin whispered. Palpatine tilted his head. "You disappoint me, Skywalker." "Good," Anakin spat. "I hope it hurts." Without a word, Ahsoka raised her comm. "Lock down Sector Alpha. Permanent seal. No contact, no light, no sound." "Thank you." "Yes, Commander," came the reply. Palpatine's cell closed with a final hiss of hydraulics. No more theatrics, no more speeches, just shadows. Elsewhere, the final battle had begun. Count Dooku's forces hit Coruscant from orbit, not with a fleet, but with corruption. Revenant clones embedded in city precincts triggered uprisings. Advanced droid units disguised as Republic mechs began executing Jedi targets across sectors. It was chaos on a scale the Senate couldn't comprehend, and in the heart of it, the temple still stood, scarred but unbroken. Rex led a loyal clone battalion alongside Master Plo Koon and Aayla Secura, retaking ground block by block. "They're using false orders to rally the confused squads," Rex shouted into the comlink. "We cut the source. We stopped the madness." Obi-Wan and Ahsoka fought side by side through the lower levels, protecting evacuees and disabling clone units whose minds had cracked. "I never thought I'd be fighting clones," Obi-Wan said between blocks. "I never thought I'd be protecting." "Jedi," Ahsoka answered. They smiled for just a second. Then a droid grenade took out a column behind them and the moment was gone. And at the center of it all, Anakin made his choice. He boarded a stealth fighter, slicing through Coruscants. Skies with a mission no one approved, but none dared stop. He was going to Mustafar. Dooku had set up his base there, arrogantly close to the lava world where he'd once claimed a victory that no longer mattered. Anakin landed without backup. Droids closed in, lights flaring. He didn't hesitate. His saber danced like fire, cutting, through machine and metal like paper. He moved not like a Jedi, not like a Sith, like something in between, a storm. He found Dooku meditating, cloak swirling in volcanic wind. "Skywalker," Dooku said, calm as ever. "Come to fall at last?" "No," Anakin said, his voice dark. "I came to end this." They clashed. Blades hummed and screamed. Dooku fought with elegance. Anakin fought with fury, but not hate, not anymore. "You lack the conviction," Dooku hissed. "I have enough to stop you." And he did, not with anger, with clarity. When Dooku fell, he didn't beg, he didn't scream. He smiled. "You'll see, Skywalker. You've only delayed what you'll become." The war didn't end with fireworks. It ended with fire. The temple was saved. The Jedi restructured. The Senate rebuilt with civilian oversight. The clone army was disbanded, many soldiers choosing exile or asylum. Rex stayed to help the Jedi rebuild, not as a soldier but as a brother. Palpatine remained locked away, never tried, never freed. A reminder that evil, once born, never fully dies. It waits. Ahsoka declined to rejoin the Order. She walked a new path, sometimes with Anakin, sometimes not. And Anakin? He became something new, not the chosen one, not the Sith, not the hero, just a man who'd seen the worst of both sides and chose not to become either. Years later, as new Jedi trained under twin suns, a child once asked, "Master Skywalker, is it true you stopped the Sith?" Anakin looked out across the plains of a healed world. "No," he said, "I just stopped myself." And that was enough.